Hey nutriMetrix, how are you? I'm really excited about this Facebook takeover series, and this is with Melanie Nelson. And so today's, like every day, a crazy day. And I know you guys have crazy days too, but needed to bring my son in for his 9-month checkup, and they ended up having some, extra things that they have to do. Everything's all good, but, people would give that as an excuse and say, you know what, we can't necessarily go live today. And that's what drives me. And that's, I'm looking here. Hey, Melanie.
Hey.
My temperature gauge where I am, and it's 31 degrees. And I always ask myself why I live here. And you're still in Florida because you live in the Tampa Bay area, right?
Actually, further south, about 2.5 hours further south.
So even warmer. Just rub it in my face. That's it. Thanks. Yeah. But we're New Englanders. We're tough. I can take it.
Yeah.
And, so I'm happy to have you on because.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Renee. Sorry, I'm saying hi.
I was just say hi to you have a big fan base, and everyone really loves you.
Aw, thanks.
Self included. And one of the things when I was preparing for this interview and thinking about, you have a lot going on in your life. I mean, and you run a very big company with your husband, and you've built a Market America, shop.com, nutraMetrix business to the $1 Million Club, to director. So why don't we just start at the beginning? Because everyone always wants to know like the origin story. So how did you get introduced to this company?
Hey, just quick shout out to Dwight and Roger and Jamie for joining us. Hey, everybody. I was introduced by my husband, actually, and I was a really skeptical spouse. I didn't want to try the products. I didn't care what this was. I just, I had grown and built several successful businesses prior to finding Market America. And I was pursuing my goal of training from stage and working with, high echelon companies like T. Harv Eker and Success Resources of really, training around the world from stage. And so I really wasn't looking for something. But my husband just, he was so good because I'm super stubborn, and he just let me kind of come to it on my own. And so, my advice, for those of you guys who have one of those really skeptical people, somebody who could be really good at this, and they could be really good at this, but they're just skeptical and they're not open, is just be patient, and don't ever stop following up. Because I think if I hadn't kind of continued the exposure, I don't know that I would have come around to it. And actually, it was a Powerline magazine that really made me see the lights. Wow. All the new pin levels that were being recognized, all the new income levels. And I was like, whoa, you don't see that in anything else. Like, you don't see like new people being recognized every quarter or every 6 months, like for hitting these massive income levels. So that's when I really realized that this was different. And then I called my husband up because he was out of town, and I'm like, why aren't we doing this? Like, it's his fault. So always right. And so, it's just, it's such an incredible vehicle, and you could show somebody who's not open a ton of times, and until they become open is when they're going to really see how powerful this is. So I had to become open first. And when I did, I was like, okay, this is like the best thing ever, has the highest return on investment. As far as time and energy and money, it's like, it literally is the best vehicle out there. And I got really excited about being able to help other people with it. So I kind of came in guns a-blazing, man. I was like, woo, Wild Wild West, So that wasn't always good for everybody, but made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. And they always say, don't be afraid to fail. And it's true, because I learned a lot in all my beginning mistakes. I continue to make mistakes, but it's really just a business where you just got to keep going. And so that's kind of where it all started. Then a few years back, I got a call from Dennis Franks. Now I know I'm kind of segueing into your next question, which is why nutraMetrix, right?
Yeah.
So I got a call a few years back from Dennis Franks, and he said, you know, you have some people in your organization that need your support with nutrimetrics. You really need to take the training. And I was like, no.
No, that's just what you said.
That's
you
what
say that to he's on TV, you know, he has a movie, he's like a NFL football, and you just say no to him.
I said no.
Okay. All right.
And then I got really passionate about why I didn't want to. And so the next day I came to my senses. I called him up and I apologized and I said, okay, Dennis, I'll go to nutrimetrics training. And so, yeah, you don't say no to Dennis Franks, and I did, but I came around, and I'm really glad I did. It, you know, I love nutrimetrics because it's, you know, I love working with high echelon people, and I really feel like doctors are high echelon people. You know, what it takes for them to just, you know, get through medical school. You have to be such a high echelon person. You have to have so much grit and determination and intelligence and all of it. Plus, you add on top of that a doctor who decides to go in private practice. You've got a whole nother level. You know, not somebody who just gets a job at a conglomerate, but somebody who's like, hey, I'm going to be in business for myself and I'm going to take all that on too. So you're really dealing with just kind of cream of the crop type of people. And I love that about nutrimetrics. I do have a health background, so that really helped. And I'm passionate about health. I've never not been passionate about health. And so it's a really great fit because I can make the difference. Because, you know, when I was working in the health field, and many people on the line are going to relate to this, including, you know, I know you too, is just 6 days a week, as many clients as I could see possible, you know, just working myself to death. And nutrimetrics allows me to be able to have the same kind of impact on people and a patient base without having the job. And then I'm all, you know, just the rewarding, like there's something really rewarding about bagging a nutrimetrics account. You know, it's like, it's like you're hunting and you get the account and you're like, yes, you know, like I swear, like it's like the best feeling ever. Yes, it's so good. It's so good. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. You know, like all the work that goes into starting an account. And I mean, that's, you know, and then obviously the real work starts to happen when they come on board. But there is something so fun and rewarding about the hunt for me. I think I love it. You know, helping them create any ancillary income, helping them, you know, impact their patient base. That's why I love nutrimetrics. It's really, really fun, really rewarding. Exactly, Kimberly. So rewarding. Mm-hmm.
I have 2 follow-up questions from your first answer, just about your background. So one of them's about how you got in, but I want to start with something else. When I was thinking about interviewing you, I even got nervous, and I still sometimes get nervous about talking to people, and I have to like psych myself up. And I think I started a minute late because I'm like breathing, and I always feel like I'm a hot mess. And so, you know, you're the type of person. I mean, you and your husband train internationally. Like you do some big things, Melanie. I mean, working with Harv Ecker's organization, and I mean and so you're the type of person, if we knew each other, you would 120% be on my chicken list, and you'd be the type of person that I would probably need to do a tequila shot before I called you about this opportunity.
Right.
And I'm sure that you have people on your list because you're hanging out with, like you said, high echelon people, high performers, high achievers.
Yep.
What's your take on how do you just tell people? Because those people, when they do see it, are the ones that are going to perform. So can you help us motivate like our newer NCs or NCs that are like me? And why should we call people like you who are on our chicken list?
Right. Well, it's, you know, quality over quantity. So you could have a lot of practices. You could sign up a lot of practices, but they're not moving any volume. And so all you're doing is busy administrative work and dragging the wet rope up the hill, so to say, or pushing the wet rope up the hill of like, hey, let's go, let's do this, you know, and that's no fun. But when you bring on a high echelon person, you might only need a couple accounts and you're going to have more results. So, you know, we're really we're not a hunting company, you know that, right? Like we're more like a fishing company. So, and I love fishing. But so like, somebody who's on your chicken list would be like, a whale, right? So you're catching a whale.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I do when somebody messages me on Facebook, because I get this a lot. They message me on Facebook and they want me to take a look at their opportunity or their network marketing company or their product or whatever, or their new business venture. And I always tell them, thank you so much for thinking of me. And also kudos to you for the courage to message me, because I know how scary that can be. And I know that it might have taken some courage to do so. And so I always recognize them for that. Because here's the thing, I get nervous. I still feel those same feelings everybody feels. I have to psych myself up before a social event because I'm actually an introvert. And so I have to like give myself a little pep talk, and so it's like, yes, I can small talk, and so, there's all the feelings that that most people feel in regards to speaking to someone that's on their chicken list. And there's different reasons why somebody might be on your chicken list. It might be that you have a whole bunch of emotions and you're all wrapped around the axle because you've had this like lifelong relationship with them, or because they are a high performer and they are highly successful in what they do. They may be on your chicken list for a number of reasons. And I always say the best thing you can do is be like the Jehovah's Witnesses and go in pairs.
Yes.
Okay.
There's gonna see where you're going with that.
Yeah. The reason that, it works. And so I always say, don't ever show the plan alone, especially when you're brand new. And even if you are alone in the middle of nowhere and no one's around, all you do is you press play, and then you get your senior business partner or a team member or cross-line partner you met at Miami, like somebody else's. It doesn't matter who it is. Just get somebody else on the phone to be that third-party credibility that doesn't have all these emotions around this person. So having that kind of anchor of somebody who isn't necessarily emotionally attached to the outcome, somebody who's more experienced than you, and having that anchor is going to help you. So I know that you guys in the Nutri Metrics training always talk about, go to practices with another Nutri Metrics consultant or a business partner and say they're my shadow today, or what doesn't matter what you say.
Whatever.
You don't even have to say anything. You don't have to explain it. No. But having that anchor of someone there to just kind of have, kind of hold your hand, or like when little kids are afraid, like they step on an escalator and you're like, here, just hold my pant leg, right? Sometimes you need somebody's pant leg to hold on to, and that's okay. Make sure you utilize that, because your emotions and your nerves, especially with doctors, especially with those kinds of people, you're walking into the office and the ladies immediately like, woo, walls up, and so especially if you're brand new, you need somebody to just kind of give you a little confidence booster and utilize that resource. And they train us in nutraMetrix to do that. The Jehovah's Witnesses do it. There's reasons for it, and so don't not use that tool. And the other thing is like, 10 seconds of bravery changes your life. Like 3, 2, 1, go. It doesn't even have to be 10 seconds. It's like 3, 2, 1, go. Don't think about it, just do it, is really at the end of the day what it comes down to. And that is a reason why I'm at where I'm at, because sometimes I think people fall in the trap of over processing and overthinking, and you can get real up in your head, and the best thing to do is just 3, 2, 1, go, and be yourself, so
yeah. And I think
unless you can be Batman, in which case always be Batman. Always.
I think people are always like looking for a sign or looking for something, and when you think of someone, call them right away, text them, like right it's away. So genuine when you are like, I just thought of you, like you did. So
yeah,
just call
be
them.
honest.
Yeah. That's why I always say, like in Miami, get ready to make calls. With the next training, get ready to make calls. At our NC training, we're like, if you think of someone, just call them. That's totally fine. So So the other follow-up I wanted to ask was with the, staying persistent. So your husband, you had heard about it, but then it kind of took you a while before you really started getting going. Because people ask me all the time, they're like, Sarah, how did you get, your dad involved? And you know what? Got a lot of people involved before I got my dad involved. It was the same thing. It was, he was in the business for 3 years before he would tell a patient he was even taking a multivitamin himself. And we used to get in fights all the time. My own mother, who's a professional coordinator and a former local coordinator, my first home business presentation, she heckled me from the crowd. And I was like, you cannot heckle me. You need to stop that. And I did it without them, and so how do you do that? Because it's not about getting someone in, it's about sticking with them and implementing, whether it's a UFO, a health professional, an NC.
Absolutely.
Could you speak to that a little bit?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I have so much experience about that. There's very few times I've shown the plan or I've introduced a health professional to the business and they're like, I'm in, like, let me sign the paper, there's very few times it's actually happened like that. Most of the time it just requires a ton of follow-up. And I think, so the expectation is really where, as a new owner or a new NC, the expectation, like people are just gonna be like, yeah, this is the best thing ever and let's do it, can be counterproductive and discouraging and overwhelming when you don't get that response. Timing is everything. And so my biggest advice is when somebody isn't jumping on board right away or isn't really super excited or is a bit difficult, don't be weird, and don't burn your bridges, because you don't know, you have to be the best version of yourself. And it's really interesting. I always tell people in this business, as you build a team, as you build an organization, as you build NCs or HP accounts, you're going to see the best of people and the worst of people, because this business really challenges you, and it forces you to grow as a person. And so when you grow as a person, there's going to be opportunities to really shine, and there's going to be opportunities where you just fall flat on your face and you end up making it big of yourself. And disappoint people. And that happens because anytime we're challenged, we have, we're going to do one or the other. We're going to rise to the top, or we're going to, fail forward. And so, I think a lot of people get really emotional about getting the no, or like when somebody's in your business for 3 years and sits on the bag of gold and does nothing with it. And you're like, hello, right? And so here, with this business, is that you just have to love them where they're at. And so I remember when people used to say that from stage, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean love them where they're at? Like, tell me what that looks like. Like, give me and don't get me wrong. It's like I love people. I love animals more. But truly, what does that tangibly mean? Well, that means like texting and saying, hey, I'm thinking of you. Like I did with, actually, I was literally, I took a picture at the Nutri Metrics backdrop in Miami, and I texted it to one of my HPs, and I just said, hey, I'm at this conference and I'm learning a lot, and I can't wait to help you in your practice, because he's been kind of a little bit stagnant lately. And so it was no pressure. It was just me telling him that I am thinking about him, and I'm not worried about where he's at or where he's not at. I'm just keeping him so that he has that information in the back of his head, this little Melanie cares about me, right? Yes. And that's really, at the end of the day, all you have to do is make sure people know that you care about them, and that even if they sit on the bag of gold for a while, it's okay. Mm-hmm. You send them the Christmas card, you text them when you think of them, that's what loving them where they're at, not resenting them, not getting bitter, because God cannot bless you when you're resentful and bitter. And so it's not necessary to get wrapped around the axle. You have to accept people's journey where they're at, and your job is simply to follow up and follow up and follow up and remind them how much you care, and what you can do for them. Not you thinking, man, if they just did something, I'd be, they'd finish that one side of my business and I'd be rich. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is really just hey, what can I do for you? And when you come from that space, they'll know that you care. And that's the persistence of follow-up. That's why follow-up is like, it's the secret sauce of our business. Follow-up ABC pattern. I actually, when I train a local, I start with that section. I start with follow-up and ABC pattern, because I'm like, nobody ever gets to it because they run out of time. And it's the secret sauce. Like, follow-up and ABC pattern is the most important piece of our business. And so that's what I start when I train a local. And so follow up on my basic 5 weekly checklist that I use every week, that I fill out. I check those stupid little boxes that will make you 6 figures if you do it for 52 weeks in a row. I still do it because it's so good. It's so good. Like, it's that little dopamine hit. Like, ooh, I checked the box, you know?
Yes.
Like,
I love checking. I really make to-do list. Okay. Yeah. I check that off.
Yeah.
I made my to-do list.
Or like when you do something that wasn't on your list and you write it down just so you can cross it off.
Yeah. So I can all the time.
Absolutely.
Daily.
Absolutely. Yep. And so that's what the basic 5 weekly checklist is all about. And in my weekly checklist, the one that's got the most information on it when I write down is my follow-up. Who I talked to, who I texted, who I emailed, who I sent a card to, it's just like who I put on a 3-way call. Follow-up is like, it fills the basic 5 weekly checklist. That's what I do the most. And so it's really key in the business, but it's also really key with our health professionals. Sometimes I just message the ladies at the office, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Not even the doc, like the ladies that you're working with, because it's often ladies that you're working with. And so, it's just, I try to create a relationship with the ladies, and I often, and sometimes they're really hard to win over. And it's also another little, like, when I finally do win them over, I'm like, yes, I got them. They like me now, so,
that's the key. Yeah. I mean, it's like, they joke and they're like, oh, who's your work wife? We don't work in offices, so we don't have that, but that's the joke. And it is, it's always like a lady, and she's the one that runs the show. And when you can find that key lady, and but I like what you're saying, because it goes back to not being weird. So if you were friends with someone, just because they're a doctor doesn't mean that they don't have text messaging. Doesn't mean you can't say, hey, I'm thinking of you. Doesn't mean you can't send a photo or whatever. I love the voice memos through the iPhone. I'm always holding it down, and that's how, instead of a voicemail, like, because I don't always want to call. Sometimes you just want to get a quick message, but you can type it and retype it a million ways. And I want to add my own Sarah personality into it. So my special sauce has been leaving those voice memos, or I'll even take a video of myself and text it to the doctor and say, hey doc, just thinking of you. This is what I wanted to tell you. And, I'll show a product or show a sales aid. I'm here. I'm looking at this. I wanted to show you this to you. And they have to open it, like, out of curiosity. No one else is doing that. So be different, but don't be weird.
Yes, exactly. So Jane says, Jane's saying here, create a relationship. Yes, it could be hard. Here's the thing. I want you to reframe that. Nothing in this business is hard. Okay. Nothing in this business is hard. You know how to make friends. And that's all you have to do is ask people about their lives. Like, hey, you married, got kids, what are your Christmas plans? All you have to do is ask questions. That's it. It's not hard. Nothing in this business is hard. You know what? Struggling and fighting cancer, that's hard. Being homeless, that's hard. There is absolutely nothing in this business that's hard. And so if you have anybody on the line, if you have a consistency of saying something in this business is hard, you need to reframe that. And that's your new affirmation is I do X, Y, Z with ease and grace. Right. People, because the story that you're telling yourself is going to come true.
Yes.
And if you say that creating relationships is hard, this business is creating relationships. Everything about this business is about creating relationships. And if we tell ourselves that, so don't even use the word hard, just be like, hey, it's fun. And I do it with ease and grace, keep it classy. That's just, sorry, that hit a button for me when I see that on the feed here. I'm doing a really good job of multitasking. I feel it's very unusual for me. I'm not a very good multitasker.
Maybe you took the women's health blends. That's what Dr. Mason says is the multitasking blend.
Is it? Okay, good to know. I did take my Cognitin this morning, which is very key for me. Seriously, if I don't take Cognitin, I'm a hot mess. Like, I'll forget what I'm talking about mid-sentence. I'll walk into a room and not remember why I went there. I mean, I literally, it is so bad. I get so ADD, and if I take my Cognitin every day, I'm good to go. So
I gotta run that by my GYN, find out if it's okay while I'm nursing. I'll look into that.
Yeah, look into it. Look into it.
That brain right there.
Cool. Baby.
All right. I just one more question because we're coming up on the half hour, but and it's regarding the nutrimetrics challenges. How many challenges have you won? I didn't look back.
You know, I've won a few, you know, obviously local challenges, regional challenges, districts challenges, president's challenge. I don't know how many challenges I've won, but you know, that is so key, like, because it gives you a path, you know, it gives you a path to follow. And I'm really bad with the paperwork, like really bad. And so I've won challenges that I didn't send paperwork in for. So that's like my weakness in the business. And people had to like really like knock me over the head and be like, it's not for you. Cause I'm like, I don't really care about getting a plaque or standing on stage. Like that's not why I did this business, you know? But recognition is important. And people were like telling me like, hey, this is so you can like inspire other people, inspire your team. I'm like, oh, okay. So paper.
Well, you were inspired by someone winning, you know, a recognition in a power line. So
yeah, true that.
You can see that you will perpetuate this. I mean, I think today you're inspiring. I'm inspired. I'm like I'm still a little shaky talking to you, but I'm very, very inspired. And have you ever tried to go for a challenge? And if so, when do you start going for a challenge?
Well, there's never a good time. You know, life is always going to throw you life. That's called life. So there's, you know, we're always all busy and we always have challenges come up. That's, you know, and so the sooner you get started, the better, obviously. And there's been challenges that I went for that I didn't hit, and it didn't matter because I still moved my business forward. You know, similar with my goal statement and my action plans, you know, I probably didn't hit the vast majority of my goal statements and action plans, but because I continued to set them and I continued to go for them, I kept moving forward, maybe not always at the pace that I wanted to. And I always tell people, get comfortable with two feelings in this business. One, it's never going fast enough. Number two, you're not where you should be, kind of feeling. And then the number two is be comfortable with being uncomfortable, you know, because, you know, especially when you're brand new, there's a learning curve to this business. No matter how successful you've been in any other thing, this business has its own little learning curve. And so be comfortable with being uncomfortable and do it anyway. So the challenge is going to make you uncomfortable, like whether it's a local challenge or a regional challenge or a corporate challenge. It's going to make you uncomfortable because you're going to look at this to-do list and you're going to go, oh my gosh, can I even get this done? And so that feeling, it's like, you just have to go, you know, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best. That's one thing my mom always taught me, was do your best. And so I need to be able to sleep at night knowing I gave 100%, you know, like that to me is like the most important thing, is like, I gave it my all today, not this year, not this week, because that can kind of sometimes be a bit big and overwhelming. Like when I think about my big goals, I'm like, ooh, scary, you know, don't even want to think about it. You know? And so I think about my daily goals and I think about my weekly goals, and that keeps it real and that keeps it doable. And so, you know, the challenge is just like checking the boxes, just like the daily, weekly checklist, basic 5-weekly checklist. And so, I'm excited because I'm going to be Rhode Island to recertify in March. So I know I'm so excited. Because it's always like a huge.
Do you own clothes? Do you own clothes for Rhode Island in March? Because we're like
cold?
about the same size.
Is it cold?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm probably not going to leave the hotel room.
Okay. Let me know. I'll meet you with a jacket. It's all good. Yeah.
I do have one winter jacket here, so I'll bring it. But so that's part of it too, is just, you know, there's a domino effect of event to event. That happens. And so the other way to stay persistent and hit challenges is to make sure you never miss an event, not in your area, even if it's not a nutraMetrix event. It's just like, don't miss an event, you know, and there's a domino effect that happens that builds your belief, that keeps you motivated, that fuels your tank so that you can go for the next month, of talking with jack wagons who say no, and so you just got to do what you got to do, and make it happen within your schedule, even when life tries to take you out. So, and Jane,
brainwash yourself. I mean,
right.
I can tell that you're totally brainwashed by positivity and inspiration, and you can just tell by the way that you talk and the way that you've said all of these sentences before, and you probably didn't say them to humans the first time. It's you say it to yourself, and you talk in the car, and you say it to your animals or your stuffed animals, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, you can just tell that you're, Melanie, you just have always stepped into your power. And I hope that today we've inspired people to do that, to know everyone within us has complete capacity to be at the level that you're at.
Absolutely.
To start with the next challenge, and then from there to, build an organization, and, to get to director, you haven't just built one BDC, so get the first one done.
Get it done.
And, I'm not even going to ask you, because I just know, like, you at one point needed to get your 10 customers. You needed to get activated. You needed to activate other people. I mean, it's all, I loved that segment that Mark Ashley did, and he was showing all the past power lines, and it was, when Elizabeth Weber was recognized
as a supervising coordinator. Yeah.
And it was like, we laugh at it, but that was, that was her next step. And, we have to celebrate that, and celebrate where we are, and the small things. And if that means that this week you're going to sell a new product, then that's it. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, everybody sees this result, and this is like right now in this moment, you're seeing a result of years and years and years and years and years of development, and that is, everybody has to have that their own journey to get, I've never met anybody, Sarah, in my organization or in Market America. I can honestly say this, never met anybody in my organization or in all of Market America where I said, they can't do this.
Right.
They can't do this business. Like they're not going to make it. I have never met anybody I felt that way about. Now in recruiting, I have met people where I went, I don't think I want to spend a lot of time with you. You could do this, but I don't want to do it with you. So, but I think just like Jamie's saying, celebrate all the little wins. That's really important. Hey, Jamie, I'm glad you're here. But it's really, I didn't always step into my power. You said that, it sounds like now I would say that the vast majority of the time I step into my power. But nobody is ever just living there, No,
and maybe not in every aspect all the time.
Right.
Things shift, and I talk about seasons. I say have a season of something, and I was on a accountability call recently, and my action item to the person was to have date night with their husband. I was like, I do that. Like that sounds like that's your weakness at this moment, because you've now brought it up 3 times. Like, just go get it done. Like, go finish that, and we'll work on something else, in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
It's hard. You have to be imbalanced at times. So
yeah, absolutely. And I was that shy kid in high school. I was chubby. I had glasses. I didn't have boyfriends. I didn't get asked to the prom. Everybody who knew me back then was like, wow, I really didn't see like this as your future, so here's the thing. You may not feel like you are that person in this moment that could be a director or be successful like Sarah, or be Elizabeth Weber, or be Don Martin, or whoever that you look up to. But we're all works in progress, and that, that's the key, is like progress, not perfection. And if you go for progress, not perfection, and like Jane's saying, I'm going to use my line every day. I gave it all my all today. Give it your all every day, check as many boxes as possible, give it your all, celebrate your successes, and forgive yourself when you don't. And then allow other people that same courtesy in your business. So, and if you do that, you're going to do well. So, thank you, Sarah, for inviting me here to talk.
Thank you. There were so many gems. I'm going to have to listen to this over and over again and sit down and take notes on it, because I hope people understand, like, you unlocked the secret to success in anything, like not just for this business, in what we just talked about. And I hope that people that maybe came on a little bit late, or that they do watch from the beginning, because I think this was huge. And I hope that everyone posts what they took away from this.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a great way to celebrate Melanie and her time. And she's a busy lady. So for us to get her on, and I'm embarrassed it's taken me this long to even talk to you. So, no, thank you so much. And we just, we hope to continue to celebrate your success and everyone else's. And
absolutely.
I am so excited that you are coming to Rhode Island.
Me too.
Get ready.
I am.
I'll give you weather updates.
Sounds good. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. And I would love a comment on the nugget that you got out of this. It always helps me be better as well. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.